What's up, friends and family and fans? You're listening to Eternal Impact's Live It Out Livestream. I'm Jennifer Garrick, and I'm here sharing the spotlight with my best friend and my high school sweetheart, the vision and the energy behind everything that we do, and the one who makes friends everywhere he goes, John Garrick.
Wow, where are you writing these intros? It's kind of fun.
Well, together we unapologetically lift up the ways of Jesus. We promote grace and we strive to learn and think like Jesus Christ. We believe in a triune God who loves us and calls us to live out the good news of our everyday lives. If this is your first time joining us on the live stream, welcome everybody. We're so happy to have you. We're excited. We're going to have a great time again tonight interacting with everybody, and we love to see your comments coming in. In fact, who do we have showing up already?
Well, we're seeing people even now. I mean, and I apologize, there were a bunch that were coming up, and we're trying to learn this technology. I was looking at the wrong stream. But wow, what fun to see these exciting people here. First of all, Jim and Faye, we don't know if it's both of you or if it's just,
we never quite know which one we're getting.
Yeah, we're not sure. But I'm going to adjust these a little bit on the eCam here just to make these fit just a little better on the screen when they come up.
Yeah, there we go. Now you can see Jim.
Cool. I don't know what I regressed though. I gotta find out what that is. How fun, Melissa Stewart, blast from the past. Wow, very fun to see you coming in. I can't remember where you are living now, so if you can put on the message in there, just where you're at. Matter of fact, interesting enough, two people that I was introduced to, both of us in Hillsboro, Oregon, are the first two that were on there.
Way to go, Hillsboro.
How intimidating to have Brent Clapp, the media man, on here right now. You know how intimidating that is, Brent? You're probably judging right now all of this, lame technology that we're doing.
We're doing our best.
We are.
It's just the two of us. We're doing what we can do.
Yeah, we need a sweet producer guy like, Brent that's back there bringing in the ATEMs and the, all the software and everything. So anyway, wonderful to see you on here, buddy. And it's been a long time. Last time I think we saw Brent, he was pastoring in LeGrand, and now he's got a video company that he's, again, doing a lot more than this stuff in Eastern Oregon, I believe. So great to see you. And wow, that is really nice of you, Melissa, to say, Jennifer, I don't think you've ever aged. That's probably true, but you noticed that she didn't say that of me. No. Now it says no voice level from Brent. I don't know what that means, but that's scaring me. Let's keep, can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
Can't hear. Let's see. Wow. I don't know.
That could be a problem unless you can read lips.
That's a problem. No voice, start again. Hike is live in Union, Oregon. Still can't hear you, and pre-music was just the right volume. Wow, that is scaring me. I have no idea what that is. It's making me nervous. Let us know if anyone can hear. Can you hear us? Matter of fact, put a message out there. Yeah, put a message out just to see, because we should be able to hear. Let's try a little bit more. Putting out the sound volume. That is really strange. Okay, Brent, can you hear us? Can you hear us? Music came on. Can hear you just fine. Oh, Tammy says she can hear us just fine in Ontario. So cool to see you. And
Hi,
happy
Tammy.
anniversary to you, Tammy. I hope you guys had an amazing time. I think it was a few days ago, but I know you're a couple weeks ahead of us on the 31st anniversary, so congrats. Can you hear us now on YouTube and Facebook? Very faintly, he says on Facebook. We're going to try and remedy that. I don't really know what that. Everything went on the tests okay, but I'm going to try this a little more. Can you hear us on Facebook? Let's see.
Okay.
Dustin says we're super
quiet.
quiet.
Well,
still.
crank it up.
Dustin, I just can't tell you. People will say that of Jennifer, but they never say that of me.
No one has ever said that.
So let's try this one, Dustin. See if it's
It says it's faint on Facebook.
Hey, Kenneth, good to have you from Uganda. I am pushing up our volume the very best we can. Weird. Okay, so Brent, you guys are awesome for technology. And you guys didn't even hear me then praising Brent because it's very intimidating because Brent Clapp, who is on here right now, is a AV genius, seriously, professional, and he's helping us here. Try just one channel left or right, wondering if phasing is canceling out. See, just listen to that. That is like a techno, that is techno talk there. Yeah, I've got us pumped. I've got everything coming out through the Rodecaster, and I am just really hoping that people can hear us. So I don't know what in the world it would be.
We'll see if we can fix this.
Yeah, I'm pumping everything up as much as I can, and I don't want to have to reboot the whole live stream because that would put me crazy. So let me know. Give us a little shout out now if that's any better. Give us on Facebook as well as on YouTube. And Brent did mention he is on an Android, which may be all the problem right there. That may be what it is. He's just on an Android. But, and Melissa, thank you. He says you're always, John, you will always look older, but that's because I've known you since you were a baby. Yeah, that is true. The volume is better. All right, the volume is actually great now.
Okay, well, we're making progress, so that's good. Let's roll with it.
Well, let us know. And thanks, Tammy. By the way, it says Facebook and volume is all the way up. I'm on Facebook and volume is all the way up. But does that mean, can you hear us? Just let me know if you can. We just like to know before we move on. And we do want to move on. We got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about tonight. But we do want to make sure, as we're welcoming everybody, that that you do have volume, that you can actually hear it. So we're hoping that what Melissa said in Facebook land is that the volume is actually great now. So we're going to take it. We're running with that. We're going to just believe that Brent, because he was on an Android, that's what the problem was. And we'll hope that that's the case. So anyway, all right. Well, listen, we want to start going on this. Just to remind you, we're on Facebook, Eternal Impact's page, John and Jennifer's personal page, as well as Eternal Impact's YouTube channel. So you can catch us on any of those spots. I will tell you, though, that because of limitations on Facebook, if you're giving comments, we're hopefully getting them all in here to the studio. But you may not see them all unless you're on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, you should be able to see all of them. Even the Facebook comments should be being pumped in there. And so if you want to interact with others, then do that. All right? So, yeah, welcome, everybody. We see other people coming on. I see, Kelsey Burcham's popping on there. Says she's got some other family members with her, which is great. So glad you're here from Montana. So if you have any other spots like you want to know, hey, how do I get it? Just go to eternalimpact.org/livestream and all the details are there. Okay? So no problemo.
So John, this is a time when we like to give just a brief little family update. Why don't you share with us a little bit? What's been going on in the Garrick world this last week, huh?
Garrick world. Well, okay, let's see. Garrick world. Lots going on in the Garrick world. Now, the real question is, can I get all the tech right here, even pull up the pictures? Because first of all, in the Garrick world is this. I mean, I know.
We always have to start with little Lily
Jane. That is our granddaughter of almost 5 months. Is that right? We got to babysit twice this week. That was cool. So, okay, enough of that grandparent stuff, but I just got to do it. All right, so if you don't know, the Garricks are working on getting the house ready. We're going to have our home is going to be turned into a discipleship house for guys, for those 19-ish through 29-ish Christian dudes, to have kind of a fraternity of Christian brothers. And we are going to be forced homelessness, which is pretty cool. We're going to be going into traveling quite a bit, and then going to also looking for an RV. We are remodeling. You remember our picture you may see of Jennifer.
Why do you keep sharing that
I know,
picture?
but it's just you standing out in front of old dirt piles.
Let's move on to a different picture.
Anyway, we had that, but we have improved. Let me tell you, the house, by the way, this picture of our house, that's going to be the Shiloh homestead for the disciples. You'll see piles of rocks and everything still there because tomorrow,
under construction.
Yep, firing up the tractor again. And that used to be a yard, a field. Now it is a big
Our future
future
home.
RV campsite. It needs to be landscaped and obviously, still finished. That's just the basic gravel, but that's happening. So for those that don't know what's going on, we are going to be doing that, and that's going to be the new Garrick campsite here in our property in Oregon City, where Jennifer and I will be able to call home base and not be an intrusion on all of Shiloh Homestead, all the dudes here. So we have a need, however. I'm going to throw it out to you, okay? There is a need. Team G, we have also, on the Garrick's life, we did a little side hustle to get the funds to be able to get to New Zealand each year to see our daughter and son-in-law. So we started a fireworks stand. But we need, yes, we do, an RV of some sort from June 22nd to July 5th. So if you're in the Portland metro area and you've just got one sitting around and you want to help Team G out, we would be grateful. We have not purchased yet an RV and won't probably until towards the end of this year. And so if there's someone that's got one that they're just putting in storage, we also will need one for several weeks from September to November. We're going to be traveling a lot the fall and the winter, but it would be great to have it. So that's kind of a personal update. Those are some needs. A couple missionaries in OC need that. So if you've got it, and I'll just give you a hint right now, what you see on there is going to be an opportunity for you to get a sweet book at the end of the show today, because we give away a book to a winner of an answer, and I'm taking them down now, but you're going to get, there's some,
see how close you're paying
answer.
attention, huh?
I guess the last thing for us, we're hiking a lot, and that's it. Just, we're getting ready to do Mount Adams. We're hoping to summit that.
It's a big mountain.
Yeah, and
I'm nervous.
Yeah, I'm nervous too. We did a practice yesterday with a 30-pound pack, and my pack's going to be about 40 plus when we do the full hike. So I'm nervous, but my body didn't like that very much. But that's what's going on with the Garrick family, and that's it.
Well, thanks.
And just a little update. I got from Brent just a little slightly better, still very light. Hey, someone in Montana who's listening, maybe on an Android or an iPhone or a computer, whatever, or somewhere out there, tell us if you guys are hearing clearly, because Brent is kindly giving some serious tech support saying, pan each of you to one side or the other if you can. Ooh, wow, now you're testing my abilities in the studio, but
well,
I receive it with love. But let's find out if someone else out there is just hearing us okay, because obviously we want the recording to be able to come through well, and we're getting ready to get into some exciting stuff. So let's make sure it is working.
Yeah. Well, while we're fooling around with the sound, as you know, we have an interesting topic tonight. We're going to be talking about Sabbath, and we're calling it Sabbath, God's Subversive Gift to the Cosmos. I mean, that's a mouthful.
That is a mouthful.
That's John's title. And I mean, that's a big one. What is this all about? Go ahead and explain that title a little bit.
Well, and we'll talk into the mics because we want to make sure that we're getting it. I am, by the way, trying to do a little tech while we're at it, and
he's multitasking.
I am multitasking, not well, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to try and put the levels up. I really am unclear as to what it is that is the cause of the problem tonight with audio. I don't know if it's a noise gate. I don't know what it is.
I'll tell you what, while you're fooling around with that,
but I'm putting it up.
Come back and explain your title to us.
No, I'll tell him right now. I'll tell him right now. I will. I can do it. Really, it's God. First of all, he came up with the plan. It's not our plan. Sabbath is his. It was a gift to us. Subversive, because the word subversive means seeking or intended to subvert an established system or institution. And let me tell you, Sabbath really presses against the common culture, and it's even our church culture. So we'll talk about that tonight. And it's a gift. It's not I have to. It's I get to. So it's really important. And so let's make sure to see Sabbath as an I get to, not I have to. And for the cosmos, it's because he offered it to the whole world. We're going to hit on that a little bit tonight, not just for us personally, but for the whole world he put into motion. And God loves the world. It said, for God so loved the world, which in the Greek, that word is the cosmos. He loves the world so much he gave. And so he gave us the gift of Christ, obviously, but he also gave us the Sabbath as a gift. So that's what we're going to talk about. It's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, before we dive into all of that, we're going to do just a real brief live stream housekeeping, right? So
you mean like checking sound and making sure that it should be
we do
correct?
have a checklist we go through before we start this, and it seemed like it was good, but that's the way it goes. So anyway, as you know, this is just relaxed. It's a live stream, so nothing's rehearsed. What happens live is what we get. So it's very authentic.
It is that.
It's interactive and it's definitely raw. It's 1 hour every Thursday. You can tune in with us. Thanks to those of you who have been here during our testing time as well as where we are right now. And some evenings, we're going to have interviews with people. In fact, our first guests will be invited on next week's show.
So you're
good. Definitely going to want to come and join us. And we'll engage with some friends through
You going to tease them? You going to tease it? You going to tell them who's coming?
Well, go ahead. Tell them who's coming.
Should we tell them?
Yeah,
hey,
sure.
We're just excited about Penny and Roger, who are going to be coming and sharing from Caris Springs. Caris Springs is a retreat space, and they just have a great heart for pastors and leaders. And I'm excited about it. It's going to be, it'll be fun.
They're our first guests, so they're our guinea pigs. Penny, if you're out there, thank you for being willing. And then on other weeks like this one, we'll do more of a table talk that John will share a thought, and then we're going to open it up for questions and answers, which, by the way, if you have a question for us, please put in the comment capital Q : and then your question. And if you're answering a question, start it with a capital A : and it just kind of helps us sort through all of the comments so we can get to yours quicker that way, a little bit easier. So anyway, speaking of comments, we want to take just a brief moment, and we're adding a section called Flashback. So we're going to just take a moment and look back at last week's episode and some of the comments that came in, and just kind of circle back on anything that we've thought and processed since the last live stream. So what have you been thinking about since our last episode?
Yeah, and by the way, I just so everyone knows, it does sound like we're getting a little louder here. Still very light, but we're going to do what we can, and we're going to talk right into the mics tonight, and not sure what's going on. But hey, it's our second episode, and I'm glad we got the challenge now, so we can keep improving as we go along.
It'll get better.
And see, we need a guy like Brent, who's bringing in all these great tech tips for us. We need him on board. He needs to be a producer from the side. So thanks for your help tonight, brother. Appreciate it a ton. So, well, listen, flashback from this last week, we had several questions that came through both on the comments, but then later just in the area of parenting. We were talking last week just overall overview of Live It Out, what it means to live out the gospel where you live, work, and play. And questions came about parenting. And I just wanted a couple, two things to say. Number one, we're going to be doing more episodes, specifically on marriage and parenting and what that means to live out the gospel of Christ in your relationships with husband and wife, as well as with your kids. One thing that we talked about last week was just this idea of being willing to repent and in front of your children and to your children. And I just want to highlight that even this last week, I've had several meetings just in my regular course of ministry and life. And three different times, this came up in those meetings, and not from people that were listening on the live stream, just regular life stuff about how to be Christ within the marriage and with the kids. And in one of those times, this idea of repentance and just being willing to admit when we're wrong and being willing to build that trust with our kids. Now, we have 3 adult children, and we're going to have them on. We're going to be doing shows with them as well, and we're going to let them give their perspective.
Honest with you.
Yeah, unscripted, and because we're not perfect. And this is a great time just to remind everybody that when we're talking about any subject on here, we're not saying, come be like John and Jennifer, we've arrived. No, as God is sanctifying all of us, setting us apart for his purposes. That's what that word sanctification means, a church word, but that's what it means. It's a process, and we're all on that journey. And so as our flashback tonight, it's just about parenting. Just want to remind us, humility and transparency. we're going to make mistakes for sure, which means if we are, then we have to be willing to be transparent and humble enough to say, hey, I'm wrong.
I blew it.
I blew it.
Yeah.
You know, the way in which I responded to you, the way in which I acted, it just wasn't appropriate. It wasn't my best like Christ. And so, yeah, I think that, you know, perfection's not going to build the trust, but transparency and humility is going to build the trust. So
goes a long way.
Yeah, just that was our flashback. It just came up a lot this last week and just want to remind you of that. So stay the course. And with all things, let's humbly love our kids in any way we can, as children or as adults. That's the game plan. Hey, right now we want to thank sponsors. We don't have sponsors for our show. We're brand new for this live stream, but the main sponsor is Eternal Impact. We are so grateful. And so we just want to give a shout out as a 501c3 nonprofit, and Jennifer and I are a part of that. We are missionaries within that organization we founded 25 years ago, and we're so grateful for the champions and the sponsors that really make this possible. Their support makes it possible for us to be able to do this work and much more. So
and
just
what a
want
privilege
to say
to
thanks.
get to thank you
Yeah.
it's not face to face, but
Yeah.
you know,
On live.
Yeah,
you know,
to say
yeah.
thank you live.
Mhm.
We really do appreciate your support in all of this, and
Yeah.
it's been a privilege to be able to do this for sure.
Yep.
So,
And if you're not a part of Eternal Impact's family and extended support team, hey, I encourage you, please go to eternalimpact.org and stop by and be a part. Engage at whatever level the Lord would have you do that. We'd love to continue to grow with you. It'd be great.
yeah. You know, usually we take a couple minutes and do a ministry update as well. I think because of some of the tech stuff that we've been messing around with, I really want to get into the meat of our time together and talk about Sabbath. I'm excited about this, so I don't want to rob our time of that. But if you want to know more about what's going on, you can always go to our website, and you can find all of our former newsletters are there. You can see updates there. You can find out what in the world we're doing with these retreats. I was going to focus on that in my update, but I'll save that for next week and just bring you up to speed with retreats. But really, I wanted to have a chance to dive into this whole subject of the Sabbath and how we practice that well and what it means for us and how is it a gift. And so I'm going to turn it over to you so we can dive into that. Okay.
Well, yeah, I appreciate it. Next week we'll talk, a little bit more, interviewing Penny and Roger, and you'll get a little bit more of the
retreat side
retreat
of
aspect.
The ministry. Yeah,
what's happening. So that'd be great.
For sure.
Well, let me throw a couple questions your way. I want you just to think about right now, and I think I have them up here. So let me just pull them up. So here's the two questions. First of all, is Sabbath even something that God expects us to participate in today, or is this simply an outdated expectation for a different time and culture? Now, don't quickly give the Sunday school answer, because we don't want to just say what we think we're supposed to say. We want to ask, are we really doing that? Are we living that out? So think about that. I want you also to think about, what are the greatest challenges you face in creating a Sabbath rhythm in your life or in the life of your family? Okay. Now, those two questions are going to come off the screen in a sec, but they are going to be, Jennifer is sending them off on the thread in YouTube, so they'll be there in just a minute.
I may have posted them 5 times. I don't know.
No problem. Well, we'll get them on there, so no problem. Those questions will be on there. They're still up on the screen, but I want you to think about that, because what we want to talk about is this gift that God has given us. And it's one of those areas that I think, if we're honest with ourselves, this discipline of Sabbath is something that we struggle with. And I really, right from the get-go, I just want you to know, since my accident, several years ago, I was in a motorcycle accident about 5 years ago, and God has been speaking to me about this, and I have been working. So it's been almost 5 years, and we are still working and asking the Lord to help us apply this principle of the Sabbath to our everyday lives. And it's not easy. I'm not even going to pretend, but it's real. And we're experiencing some great joy, some vitality, some health, spiritual health, soul formation in our lives by taking serious this gift and applying it to our lives. Richard Foster once said in Celebration of Disciplines, the book. He said, the desperate need today is not for a greater number of intelligent people or gifted people, but for deep people. I want you to think about that. You know, in our culture of just go, go, go and celebrating the extroverted gifts and, you know, all the things, especially around church, we live in a world where it's said before, we worship everything and value nothing. Think about that. We offer up adoration and praise and worth to so many things, from sports to music to all that. And by the way, you're not hearing me say that those things are wrong, because those are gifts that we've enjoyed in many aspects in the arts, and it's wonderful. But what are we amplifying that we value? So what are we valuing? And do we value the Sabbath? I want to point out to you a couple writers. A.J. Swoboda, you're going to be hearing me talk a lot about today. Another one is a gal that I just have introduced to, Ashley Daniel. She's a friend of mine on Facebook. You can look her up if you want more info from her on my Facebook page. We'll also, by tomorrow, have these in the show notes so that you can see them. But I really want you to be able to hear a little bit of what she shared, and as a mom, as a wife, and as a writer. She's really sharp, so I want you to be thinking about it. But I'm going to use her little history of the Sabbath, and I want to just walk through that, and then we're going to talk a little bit more. But because the idea of Sabbath is probably not new to most. You've likely heard about it in church. You've read about it in the Bible and seen it outlined a zillion times in the Ten Commandment posters, or it's on the Supreme Court walls. It's engraved on the walls. We know about it, but how do we keep it holy? How do we remember that day? So we're not going to be able to get into all the details of the history, but let me just give you what she put down. What I really like the way that Ashley did the recap. So it goes like this. We read about it from the beginning of the Bible, how God finished the work of creation and rested on the seventh day. God blessed, it says in Genesis, God blessed the seventh day and made it holy because it rested, he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. In Exodus 16, we read about God declared to the Israelites that the next day would be a Sabbath day, and that they were to gather manna and bake and boil what they needed to eat in advance to prepare for the day of rest. Fun fact, the word Sabbath comes from the Hebrew word Shabbat, meaning rest. So a few chapters later in Exodus 20, we read in the middle of the Ten Commandments, it says this: remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do for all the work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you nor your sons or daughters, nor your male or female servants, nor your animals, nor your foreigners residing in your towns. For the sixth day the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, and he rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Again in Exodus 34:21, we read, 6 days you shall labor, but on the seventh day you shall rest. Even during the plowing season and harvest, you must rest. In modern terms, that means even in the midst of your crazy seasons, like Christmas, even good seasons that are great, in those busy ones, when things are extra busy, even in a good way, it's still important to take the day-to-day rest in the midst of it all. The Sabbath is described throughout the Old Testament as the lasting covenant, a promise between God and his people. In Ezekiel 10:12, it reads, I gave them my Sabbath as a sign between us so that they would know that I, the Lord, made them holy. Gave it to them as a gift. In the New Testament, Jesus did some non-traditional things on the Sabbath, like picking heads of grain for his disciples, healing people, which was against Old Testament law. When criticized, Jesus responded that it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath and explained the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. Again, you get that gift, that it's a gift given to us. Nancy Ray, another writer that I'll put in the show notes, said, the God of Sabbath is our rest, not Sabbath itself. It's all about relationship, not law. So you're going to find some more, interesting stuff on her blog, on the Ashley Danube blog. And so I encourage you, if you got time, take time to read that. She gets very practical, and I think there's some great things, and I just want to give her a shout out for that and thank her for her work. AJ Sabota, I read, I've been with AJ multiple times. I want to get him on. We'll talk about Sabbath again.
I wish he could have been here today.
I wish he could have been here tonight. But we will definitely, when we get things, ironed out and get all our audio, video, and Brent to help us with that, we'll get AJ on as a guest, because that would really be a gift. He wrote the book Subversive Faith. In the intro, he says, we live in a 24/7 culture of endless productivity, workaholism, distractions, burnouts, and anxiety, a way of life of which we've sadly grown accustomed. This tired system of life ultimately destroys our souls, our bodies, our relationships, our society, and the rest of God's creation. The whole world grows exhausted because humanity has forgotten to enter in God's rest. There's a lot in that. There's a lot in his whole book. I'm going to give you several quotes tonight, and we're going to look at a couple other resources just in the next 5 minutes, and then we're going to have some Q&A. And I want to hear what some of you will be thinking about that question already. What are the areas that you struggle on? You look at those questions and be ready to respond to them. Or you can even respond as I'm talking here, and we're gonna dive into that. Oh, you couldn't post it?
No, I tried.
Okay.
It won't post for some
Won't
reason.
let you post it?
Look it.
Huh.
Boom. It won't go.
Yeah, that's so bizarre.
Yeah,
Huh.
I tried. I did put it on Facebook. If you're viewing from Facebook, you should be able to see it in the comments. But
Okay.
I couldn't get it on.
Cool. Thanks for trying that. Hey, let's make note of that, and we'll adjust it for next show to make sure we get that ironed out as well. So I want to recommend another article. It'll be in the show notes. It's a blog that AJ wrote for brethrenlifeandthought.org, brethrenlifeandthought.org. But the whole URL will be in the show notes. But he does quote this one thing, and I think it's important. It's not just about us, but remember the cosmos, the whole earth that Jesus, or that God put in place this Sabbath. He says this, just a couple sentences. He said, like any living entity, the earth is created to have rhythms of rest and respite. The land needs a break from productivity. Certain animals need to hibernate. The ocean needs breaks for fish populations to be replenished. Like human beings, when creation is robbed of a chance to rest, it quickly begins to communicate its exhaustion to us. Think about this. As the psalmist writes, God actively causes the grass to grow in the cattle God has made in Psalm 104:14. God does not create accidentally. He creates intentionally. God made a system for life, not just a system of life, an intricate system with Sabbath built into it. Now think about this. Just get your mind around it. In the system of life, everything is dependent on something else to thrive. The system must be protected or tragic things begin to happen. So in a time where there is a great awareness about our earth and the environment and being, conserving, our planet, I want you just to think about how the Sabbath gift is a part of that as well. So one other shout out to another book that I have not read, but a friend has sent it to me and contacted me and said, hey, man, I was at a conference and this Dr. Matthew Sleeth, MD, wrote this book entitled 24/6, A Prescription for Healthier, Happy Life. It has been sent to me. I have it. I will not be able to read it for probably a couple months. So do be patient with me on that one. But if someone else has read it, I would love to get comments. As a matter of fact, remember we do shout out where previous weeks or someone that's got a comment, they can do an audio and then we can play it. Or you can write a comment. We would love to have that on a future show to be able to someone to give kind of a review of what they learned reading Dr. Matthew Sleeth's book 24/6. So if you've read it, please check it out, and then I will as well. All right, we got just a couple minutes left on this little monologue and just kind of digging into this subject, and then a little Q&A. If y'all can hear us, I'm just still hoping that the audio is going through. If not, I'm just going to get a good recap and a reminder of Sabbath for myself, even though I've went through that, but I need it. I need it for sure. I want to talk about leadership in the church, because this is where the rubber hits the road. And that's where our heart is working with pastors and leaders. And what we've done with the model of the church to push us, so many of us, away from being able to Sabbath is heartbreaking. AJ says this. He says, what if the church became the best place in the world to learn how to rest? This would be an exhausting world, friend. That's what he said. Think about that. This is what he said about his own Sabbath keeping. And he said, up until the time I thought Sabbath keeping was selfish, and I thought that I did rest, it was a sign of weakness. Or he said, when I did rest, I thought it was a sign of weakness. Then I had the epiphany of a lifetime. I had been trying to be selfless. In helping everyone else, I had forgotten myself. I had become the preacher of the gospel who needed the gospel himself. And worse yet, I subconsciously thought God wanted me to forget about myself so I could serve others. But that is not the gospel. Jesus loves me too. I could love others only to the extent that I could recognize God's love for me. I could see the needs of my community only to the extent that I admitted my own needs. I could care for God's people only to the extent that I allow him to care for me. In forgetting all this, I had neglected to care for the body of God that God had given me, the spirit he breathed into me, the soul that he molded with his own hand. Man, that's an awakening that AJ had, that all of us in the body, especially those in leadership. Now, if you're in leadership, it's a great reminder. If you're not, then that means you're supporting those in leadership and you're being discipled. And it's important for us to be able to capture the reality of what's happening. He said this, he says, teach someone to not Sabbath and they will be hostile to it, and pass that along to the next generation. Teach someone to Sabbath and you will raise up a generation that knows how to rest in the presence of God. Now, we're kind of at our end time right now in the kind of my monologue time, and I'm looking at the threads, and you're going to check just to make sure we're getting them all coming through here. Yeah. But I just want to make sure that there's out there, because I want to be able to hear from you. If you're out there and you can hear us, we want to hear the answer to those questions. But as you're putting those up, go ahead and start answering those two questions. And again, the question is Sabbath even something that God expects us to participate in today? Or is it just simply an outdated expectation in a different time, for a different time and culture? And then the other question is, what is the greatest challenge you face in creating Sabbath rhythms in your life or in the life of your family? So as you're responding to that, and I hope you will, I hope you'll respond to that and share with us your thoughts on that and share with others. I want to read to you a really important testimonial aspect of AJ that he wrote when he was working with his leadership team at the church that he used to pastor here in the Portland area. And this is what he said in the section of the book that says, it's chapter 4, Sabbath and Relationship. And he says this, he said, each year our church corporately discusses a spiritual discipline that we're not particularly good at. That's a great idea, by the way. 7 years into the church's founding, it was viscerally clear that the church was tired from the strain of the sustained efforts of ministry. In the fall of 2015, we decided to initiate a 3-week conversation about Sabbath keeping in the Bible. That's brave, by the way. Good job, bro. That's good. That's brave. I was not prepared for what happened. Mind you, I have preached widely on sexuality, marijuana, polygamy, refugees, immigrants, the unborn, alongside other topics that naturally make people upset. Still, I have never seen my people as hostile to me preaching than to those 3 sermons on the Sabbath. What is so threatening about the day of rest? I learned much from my experience. The response, for one, was intriguing. Generally, people ask me 2 main questions. First was what to do on the Sabbath. Such a question is very American, isn't it? What do I do? We're addicted to doing. By the way, reverting from what he's saying, often we see ourselves as human doings and not as human beings. And God sees us as his creation, as human beings, more concerned who we are than what we do. But AJ goes on to say, being is not even a category we are able to entertain. The second was, How do I make time for Sabbath? Again, we cannot make time. We are humans. God makes time. And the assumptions that we can make time is dangerously hurtful to our well-being. I have come to the conclusion that the topic of Sabbath keeping is so hostile to American Christianity because Americans often worship their time. We think time is ours. Our language is telling. We think we can make time and kill time. Of course, many of our community began keeping the Sabbath, something worth celebrating. Yes, it is. Some are doing it now and never did before. Others tried and gave up. I'm going to skip through this section because I want to just read. I'm just gonna paraphrase what he said. Although this section is beautiful in the book, so I encourage you. And just so you know, we are going to be giving a copy of this book away in a few minutes to someone that's going to be giving an answer. So I just want to let you know that. And we're going to go to your responses in just a minute. But I really want us to think about the fact that there was this, and I'm paraphrasing what happened when he was working with his leadership. He was realizing that he could break one of the 9 commandments and be dismissed or fired from his job. But if he broke the Sabbath, he'd get a raise.
Yeah.
and,
Sad.
and that is sad, but it is so true. And we have designed our churches in such a way that Sunday is like one of the busiest days. And not just for the pastor. I mean, worship leaders, children, we need you to volunteer. We need you to work. We need you to do all this stuff. And it's really tough to be able to take a deep breath and to be able to breathe in God's grace, listen to his voice, quiet things down, because there's so much to do, right? So much to do. I'll end with this section, and then I'm going to go to your comments. Is Barbara Brown Taylor, she's an author, an Episcopal priest. She said, "We have made an idol of exhaustion. The only time we know we have done enough is when we're running on empty and when the ones we love most are the ones we see least." I'm going to confess to you right now, and I see Aaron Wingate. I see Dustin. Really fun to have you on here, Aaron and Dustin. Before we go to those comments, which I'm going to in just a second, and some others, I just want to confess to you. This is something, I know I said it earlier, but this is something that Jennifer and I are wrestling through. It was a year ago that we stepped down from a beautiful, beautiful group of people as their senior lead pastor at Missio Dei Community, and they are, I mean, this body of believers, they are amazing. And it was even, a non-traditional church, and gave us just a beautiful training ground to learn more and better, and they helped us in so many ways understand and learning Sabbath. I mean, so much. But God is continuing to work in me, and especially as we're focusing in with leaders, we're seeing such a burnout level, such a pain, such exhaustion in Christian leaders. And many of them, both statistically and anecdotally, are not Sabbathing. They're not even sure how. The leaders are asking the question, man, how do I Sabbath? Especially, and we mix up a day off, right? And we've talked about this before. A day off is a Sabbath. Well, that's not a Sabbath. A Sabbath is a Sabbath, to where, and there's different practices and things that we can do. And we'll talk more about this. And maybe there's some comments that you guys have right now we'd like to hear, what they are. How are you doing this? So let's go to that first. Let me see what some of these say here, because we kind of go on the fly. Yeah, sometimes they get tough to folks. Okay, one person said, yeah, sometimes it can get tough to focus on relaxing and focusing on God when I want to do other things like video games and playing outside. Okay, Aaron, that is so right on.
Yeah.
And I just want you to know, Aaron, because we know Aaron is a student, high school student in Georgia. And here's just what I want to say for Aaron. That is super mature for you to even get that.
To recognize that.
To recognize that. That is huge. And that's really one of the first steps, is being able just to recognize, just to be able to say, okay, is there so much noise, so much stuff in my life that, I can't even hear, because video games and everything. Now, all those things aren't evil, right? A video game's not evil. A movie's not evil. Playing with friends, that's not evil,
No.
But I'll confess to you as well that even news, music, all these things that are good can flood into my life so much. And I like to work, right? I like to work. Work is a gift. It's got a divine dignity to it. Work is a good thing. And that's why we do work 6 of the days, a week. And even though in America, not every country has weekends like we do, a Saturday and Sunday, we won't get into the details of that, but that came, later, with America about 250 years ago when that whole idea of a weekend came about. But we have days off that we have to do domestic duties. We have to mow the lawn. We have to clean the car. We have to work on stuff,
and
right?
And that's not a Sabbath.
And that's not a Sabbath.
No.
But this idea of being able to just breathe in and listen and hear. And I realized even in my prayer life, even in the last many months, that, man, I talk so much. Here's all my list. Here's all my things that I need from God. And it's like, okay, am I just giving myself space every day to listen? Just to be quiet, just to hear from him. So, man, thanks, Aaron, for sharing that.
And if I can
go ahead.
Say one thing about that too, Aaron, I don't feel like playing video games or something like that on your Sabbath is necessarily bad, because that can be a restful activity where
right.
But if you've set aside some time to focus on the Lord, and then, play, that's part of resting. Play is part of rest. It rejuvenates us. And so that's important. And I saw another comment come through from Sherry that she was asking, does it have to be on a Sunday? And no, I don't believe that it has to be on Sunday. It could be any day that you've set aside where you're going to purposely talk about focusing on the Lord and then getting that rest that you need. And like you say, even listening to the birds in your backyard is restful for sure.
Yeah, so true. Sherry, I do that every day.
Don't get a Sunday
off,
especially pastors. If you're pastoring a church, that's definitely not your Sabbath day. You worship that day, and it's a wonderful day focused on God, but it is not a Sabbath rest.
Yeah, that's good. I think it was Merton, Thomas Merton, that said, I think it was him or St. Francis. I can't, so someone will have to look it up. It's one of those two. But said that birds are messengers from God. And I always like that. Yeah, because, just that space to have, as Sherry's mentioned, just to be able to go into the backyard and just to shut everything else down and just to be able to breathe. I meditate on Scripture. I meditate on the Lord. I do contemplative prayer where I just want to carve out 20 minutes and just everything else, no speaking, unless I'm a centering word, and focusing on him. And that's critical. But when it comes to Sabbath, carving out that 24-hour, it is important. And we'll talk about this more. This will be a subject that'll come up because it's an important one. Shabbat started with the Jewish people as a Saturday, what we would see as a Saturday today, from sunrise or sundown on Friday to sunset on Saturday. And so, we could look at Constantine and when that came about, and he, made Christianity an official religion, and we look at Sunday now as the day that Christ rose from the dead, and so most evangelicals worship on Sunday instead of Shabbat, which is, a Saturday. But I don't think we should get stuck in the idea of, when, the actual day. But in our culture in general, it is Sunday. But you're right, that is not the issue of the day. It's a day. It's, are we going to take one of the 7, and are we going to breathe deep of God's grace? And are we going to rest? And are we going to put away our toils and our burdens and be able to let God speak life into us so that we can enter the next day of work refreshed and ready because we've rested? And I just, and also I see on here, Aaron, respond back. Thanks. It's good to talk to y'all, get tips on life and God. And it's true. We all need that, Aaron. We all need tips. We all need each other in this process. And so, we only have just a few minutes left today. So if there's other comments, please bring them there. And I appreciate Chris, by the way, and Chris Helling, nice to see you on there. She said, Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I like that because it came in about the time we were reading that AJ Swoboda quote, and it's like, yeah, it is wow, and the whole book is wow. So
We'll have to have him on when we talk we talk about this subject again. We'll bring him on as a guest. And we'll dig
AJ
in
would be
deeper.
so great if we maybe get them both on. His
That'd be fun.
husband
We'll
and
work
wife
on
would be
that.
cool. Yeah, but it'd be good stuff. In just a minute, we are going to be giving away actually a copy of AJ's book. We're going to send a copy. Last week, our winner of the book was from South Korea, and it was the coolest thing. They were actually in South Korea listening, but they're from the United States, so they're coming back in I think a couple weeks. Yeah. And they reached out to us instead of sending it to Korea, said, "I'm going to be in Portland. Can I swing by, have a cup of coffee, and get?" And we said, "Wow, how cool is that?" And we'll just hand deliver, save the postage, and get coffee. That's cool. So really great. Not that everyone has to do that, but I do want you to know we're going to ask a question in a sec. And if you are one of those that have the answer, you're going to put an A colon, and you're going to A colon to the answer. And then our little randomizer will recognize the A colon, and it can be sorted that way. And then they are going to pick a winner. And AJ's book is going to be coming to you this week. It'll come out. It'll get sent tomorrow.
Can I enter and win
you
too?
cannot enter in, but I have a Kindle copy and an
good.
Audible for you. So anytime.
I need to read it.
All right. So we'll get to that in just a second. Oh, my goodness. Look at this guy right here. Josh Johnson. How cool just to get a wink and a fire flame from you, buddy. This guy, I can't wait to be able to see him face to face. It has been 30-some years. I just reached out to Josh, too, and said, hey, when we're down in where he lives in Central Oregon, I wanted to reach out. I want to get some coffee. And
that would
something.
Be so fun.
Yeah, so fun to see him. Josh is an amazing husband and dad and man and leader now. But, I was his youth pastor when he was just a rascal, just a rascal. And
that was like yesterday, right?
Oh, yeah, just a couple years ago.
Just a couple years ago.
But anyway, gosh, 30 years ago almost. Holy smokes.
What's the question? Do you want me to read the question? What you're going to be answering?
Yeah. Do I have it up? I don't remember if I did.
It right here.
Okay, go for it.
Are you ready for this? This is how you win your book.
Wait a minute. Is this... What does... Oh, yeah, that's it. You got it.
it.
Okay.
I'm on top of it.
So here is the question.
Here's your question. What does Team G need for the 2 weeks leading up to the 4th of July?
Ooh, so you had to be on a little earlier to know.
Through the whole thing, you should be able to answer. What is it that we're desperately needing 2 weeks leading up to the 4th of July, which is just around the corner.
Just around the corner. Okay.
I cannot believe that.
Yeah, that's kind of a fun question.
Yeah.
And so, Josh, by the way, said on here, he said, don't say how old he is.
Don't talk about
that
how
means
long
he's
ago
old
that
now,
was.
too. He's not as gray as I am, but he's old. And, this is a total side note, kind of a fun thing. We got just a couple minutes before we wrap up and give the prize. But so cool that Josh actually went to school, was a fraternity buddy at school. I think it was fraternity. I don't know if just friends at school or fraternity, but with a pastor friend of mine that's actually here in Oregon City, Jeff. So yeah, pretty fun.
That's
pretty
neat.
fun. So yeah, Jeff has given me some good stories of Josh from college as well. So
don't worry, Josh. I won't let him share anything on our live stream.
All right. Okay. So those that have the answer, there may not be many because you had to be here at the beginning in order to know the answer to this. So we're seeing just a couple people coming through that have the answer, one through Facebook, one through YouTube. And so it's not going to be...
make it pretty easy.
Yeah, it's going to be easy on the randomizer. By the way, can I just ask real quick before we start wrapping up and give that prize away? We've had some technical difficulties tonight. So this is only our second episode. So we're going to work out the kinks. This is a great time to do it. But we've had to bump up the audio in order to get it out because people are having a hard time hearing us. Can you let us know real quick if you're able to hear us? We can see the eyeballs. We can see the people that are there, that are online. But we just want to know if, we've got sound coming through. I know some people are just really having a hard time hearing, and we're going to work on that. But anyone, just let us know. Just make sure we got the audio on that. Yes. Okay, cool.
right.
We got one. Chris through
That's from
Facebook says,
Facebook.
yes.
All right.
We can hear it, so
Maybe
thank
we're
you. So
figuring it
glad. And we're assuming that you can hear because you're responding to the questions that we've got. So
They're hearing something.
yeah, so that's good. And Josh says
says
loud and clear too. That's cool.
Great.
We have a he said Dustin said we have to full blast in our living room speaker just to hear you. Oh, I'm sorry. But we're going to work on that and we'll get it down. But at least people are able to hear.
Either that or we need to get you a better speaker.
Yeah, that's right. And Aaron, yeah, he says full volume. He's got to be full volume at home for that. So, all right, buddy. Thank you for giving us a shout out on that and letting us know. Whoa, Tammy Rayborn, thank you for being with us. Look at that. Had to max out the sound to hear it. Woo, bummer. Well, we'll get it fixed for next week. And every Thursday night, Live It Out Livestream with John and Jennifer, whether we are here in Oregon City or whether we're going to be broadcasting from different places around the U.S. and the world over the next several months. We're looking forward to that. It's going to be fun. But before we wrap up our time tonight, I want to give away a prize to the one guy that nailed it. The one thing that we need is an RV. That's right, an RV we had to borrow because the one we were going to use for the Team G 4th of July is not available. And so sadly, we've got just a couple weeks to get that. So you're right. That was the trivia. What is it? It was an RV. So congratulations to Dustin Zeisler. Way to go, Dustin. Dustin, you have got a book coming your way. You just need to message us through text, whatever. You've got our contact. Just let us know whether you'd rather have it on a digital copy through Kindle, or if you want it through a softback or a paperback. So, all right, and we'll make sure to do that. So, as we wrap up our time, we have just about 1 minute left, and usually we end with a dad joke. So,
ooh, yeah.
What do you got, hon?
Yeah. Okay.
What do you got?
Are you ready for?
I'm ready.
All right. So, what did the duck say when he bought chapstick? Put it on my bill.
Okay, that was not bad. That was good. All right, what about okay, so have you heard about the new restaurant on the moon?
No.
Yeah, I've heard it's got great food, but no atmosphere. Come on, that's pretty good. No atmosphere? Come on. All right. Maybe not. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was good. All right. Well, listen, you are all winners. Dustin, congratulations on the book. But love you all so much and so grateful for you being here. And I just see still messages coming through. We'll respond to you when we're offline because it is 7 o'clock and we are signing off tonight from the Live It Out live stream. And just want to say, love you from here in Oregon City.
Thanks for hanging out with us. It's been fun.
Yeah, it sure has. Bless you guys.
We'll see you next week.